Do I hate Rian Johnson? That is such a ridiculous question. Of course I do. In all seriousness, I want to talk about Rian Johnson for a few minutes. I don't hate him as a human being. He's not Osama bin Laden. He's not Saddam Hussein. He's on the next tier above them. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, he's never hurt me or my family. But as a Star Wars filmmaker, yes, you can call me a hater or whatever, because he is primarily responsible for the atrocity that is The Last Jedi. I often wonder, if I was face to face with him, what would I even say? Like if I was at a Star Wars convention and he was there and I had the chance to talk to him.
Where did you learn your trade, you stupid fucking cunt, you idiot?
I'd probably just say nice to meet you and try to be polite and get the hell out of there as soon as possible, because I'm not a fan. To be fair, I haven't seen his other movies. I did watch the TV show Breaking Bad, and he directed a few of those episodes. Interestingly enough, one of them was an episode called Fly, and the whole episode was like the two main characters trying to kill a fly. And it was my least favorite Breaking Bad episode. It turns out that that was one of the ones that he directed, but probably just not his fault. I'm sure that it was written by someone else. Yeah, the other ones he directed seemed fine. I remember those being pretty good. And he also did a film called Looper that sounds really interesting, and I might love that movie. I don't know. It doesn't even matter, because what he did with The Last Jedi really offends me. And I'm going to explain why. First of all, I have done research on Rian Johnson. I wanted to learn about him before going off and ripping him. And I watched a few videos. I read some biographical stuff. He, sounds like a pretty good person. I don't know him personally. Maybe he's wonderful. Maybe he's a great family man. What pertains to me as a Star Wars fan is his performance in writing and directing the film that he was in charge of writing and directing, in this case, Episode 8. And the result was ugly. The result was bad. And not like bad to the bone. Let's go back a few years. So The Force Awakens comes out in 2015. I was really happy to have a new Star Wars movie. And I was happy that George Lucas was not being like super involved. And I thought that was best. And it turned out I did not love the movie. I liked parts of it. And I thought it was okay at best. I did love the new characters he came up with. And I was optimistic about Episode 8. That said, I was also happy when I found out that we'd have a different director, because I didn't feel like a big J.J. Abrams fan. I didn't dislike him. I thought he was okay, but I would have preferred someone else. So I kind of like the idea of handing it off to another director who I assume would have discussions with JJ about the overall plan for the franchise and how this new trilogy would go. He would get an understanding of where the characters are going, where some of the ideas are going. He would be knowledgeable, or would become knowledgeable, on the history of the franchise. He'd probably have a couple discussions with George Lucas, see all the Star Wars films, have a good understanding of how things work in a Star Wars movie, and just build a good strong base to stand on. So when he dove into the screenwriting and filmmaking process, yeah, sure, he could go bold here and there, change some things here and there, but at least he would have a good idea of how to make a Star Wars movie, and he could make something really powerful that would just be satisfying to the vast majority. And real talk, when I saw the trailer for The Last Jedi, I was impressed. It looked like this one was not going to be like a little safe reboot like 7. This was going big, and it was going bad as in badass. And there was going to be some major changes in the arcs of the stories of Rey and Kylo, and we were going to see Luke. The trailer implied that Luke would train Rey, but that was pretty much a given anyway. And as was Luke in action, we were going to see him fight. Either he's going to fight maybe Snoke, maybe Kylo, but he's going to get some action. The trailer was just awesome. I was so excited. And I love the trailer at the end when Rey says, "I need to know my place in all this." And then Kylo puts out his hand, and then it goes, boom, Last Jedi. I'm like, wow. And I understand trailers mislead, and maybe she wasn't even talking to Kylo when she says that. I get that. But the overall feel of the trailer was like, this movie is going big. And that's perfect, because The Empire Strikes Back went big. But it went big and awesome. It was amazing, an amazing continuation of an already amazing story. The Last Jedi, on the other hand, went all over the place, felt completely disconnected from the previous film, feels like they're just making it up as they go. Like when the plot's not working, just write something in to fix it real quick. The movie failed to deliver any of the things fans were expecting and wanting. I'm not saying you have to cater to the fans' every need, but it's almost like he intentionally went out of his way to ensure that they get nothing that they wanted. Like he had a little checklist. Fans want to see Luke back in action. Scratch that. Fans want to see Luke train Rey. Scratch that. Fans want to learn more about Snoke's past. Scratch that. Fans like lightsaber battles. Scratch that. Okay, so a lot of fans are going to be pissed off. Johnson knows this. He goes ahead anyway because his attitude is, F you, I'm making my own movie. Fans want to see this. Fans want to see that. F you, I'm making my own movie. Mark Hamill says, hang on, I fundamentally disagree with everything about Luke in this movie. F you, I'm making my own movie. Maybe at the meeting someone says, hey, Ryan, Carrie Fisher passed away. Maybe we should give her a little more respectable scene instead of making her like the Superman kind of thing. And she's kind of become the laughing stock of the internet. F you, I'm making my own movie. Ryan, the Star Wars humor, it's kind of a little more subtle and not so constant, especially during the intense. F you, I'm making my own movie. Even J.J. Abrams, in an interview with Daisy Ridley, she mentioned that J.J. had outlines for episodes 8 and 9 that kind of follow the paths and the stories of the characters he created in 7. And when he shared these ideas with Rian Johnson, Rian just threw those ideas out, basically saying, F you, I'm making my own movie. And the quote from Daisy is, I believe Rian didn't keep anything from the first draft of episode 8. Really? Oh, wow. Yeah, that would explain why Rey and Poe are together at the end of 7 on Dakar, the Rebel base. They're not shown together, but they're there. They're both there. Everyone's there at the Rebel base at the end of the movie. It's assumed that they're going to meet there. But then at the end of 8, they're meeting for the first time. And there's some kind of like a little romantic friction, the way they're looking at each other. When in 7, I thought that Rey and Finn were kind of going to have that, but that's not how it's going. Now, Rose is this new character. She's kissing Finn awkwardly. And it's all like, WTF? What's going on? And I'm not saying he had to follow JJ's ideas exactly, but come on, stay somewhat within the framework here of this new trilogy so we can have some awesome epic trilogy like the original was, or at least resemble something epic instead of a piece of crap trilogy, which we already have. Sorry, George. And you can even tell by the way the movie ends, not that it's horrible, but the way it goes back to that kid who force grabs the broom and it ends. Does it not kind of feel like the end of a trilogy or the end of a saga? Like this is it? It feels like it's wrapping things up. Like this was his baby. He was going to start it, end it how he wanted. And I just feel that way. Like he had no respect for anyone else's ideas, no respect for the franchise, no respect for what is coming, what is to come in the saga, no respect for the fans. He does not care. That's what I see when I see this movie. The only person he catered to at all seems to be his boss, Kathleen Kennedy, who made sure that he put in plenty of social justice warrior crap in there, made sure all the men look like pathetic morons and all the women are strong and powerful, brave warriors. Not to mention, make sure we put some poor abused animals in there and save them. Of course, the kids are still slaves. We'll come back for them later, I guess. And he obviously did enough of that to make her happy, and that's probably why he kept his job, despite the fact that he made a freaking horrible movie. Before I forget, by the way, sort of related, but I'm putting a link to the Last Jedi review that I came across by a young lady named maybe Vivian Fonseca. And it is so on point. This review is amazing. It's the best review I've seen on The Last Jedi by far. Not that I agree with everything she says. There's a few things that I'm not perfectly in agreement with, but I agree with most of it, but she's really great. It's really great. And please click on that link. You probably may have already seen it. If you found my video, you probably found her video. But anyway, back to Rian Johnson. No, I don't hate him as a human being, but I don't want him to ever write, direct, or be involved in any way, shape, form, or fashion with a Star Wars movie. Ever again. And that's how much I despise the way he handled The Last Jedi. And I know about this new trilogy he's supposed to be working on. And if that becomes a reality, I'm going to be holding off on watching it until at least I see some spoiler-free reviews from some of my trusted YouTubers. And if it looks bad, I'm not going to bother with it. I don't care if I don't put out a review or whatever on it. That's just real talk. I will not go see it if it looks like it's going to be crap. And I'll wait for maybe a rainy day and I'll suffer through it on a DVD or Blu-ray. But I'm not running out to the theaters if it looks like it's going to be some garbage. If it was up to me, obviously he would not have this trilogy. I'm hoping it doesn't happen. I don't think he deserves it, and I don't think most of the fans want it. But whatever. He took a massive risk with this last movie, and I think it failed on so many levels. And end result, I do not like this motherfucker. Thanks for joining me, guys. Have a good one.